Hey guys, thanks for joining me on this video. We're going to be comparing a 2017 Nissan Rogue, which has been my personal vehicle for the past 3 years, to the vehicle that's replacing it as my new lease going forward. And I was pretty surprised at the vehicle that I was able to get. It all came down to getting a good lease deal. So the lease deal that I got on the 2017 was really amazing. And for this year, I couldn't get quite as good of a deal on it. So for 2020, I was able to get a good deal on this Range Rover, and the monthly payment and the deposit were very, very close to the Nissan. So how does one resist, right? So this is a 2020 Range Rover Evoque, and we're going to compare that to a 2017 Nissan Rogue. So this is just to get an overview of the 2017 Rogue. I don't know, for a budget-friendly family vehicle, I thought it was a pretty good-looking car. Very practical. Not too big, not too small. And just pretty easy to like, pretty easy to live with. So that's the Rogue. I'm going to get you the Range Rover in a second. Okay, so this is the Range Rover. Okay, just going to take a look at how it looks from the all corners here. I do think it's a nice looking car, and I do think I can make the argument that it maybe looks a little better than the Nissan Rogue. So I do like the way it looks. Size-wise, it's pretty close, but this car is a little bit smaller, and we're going to talk about that in 1 second. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of compare these two side by side, and I think one thing that you'll notice is that they are very, very close in size. So you do have to get a little nitpicky to see that there is a difference in the size of the two vehicles. At the end of the day, the Rogue is a little bit larger, but it really comes down to the capacity in the cargo area. That's where you have the big difference, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But as you can see, they're very, very close in size. So let's see if you can see that, right? And I actually have the measurements here, and I'm going to read them off to you. According to Google, the Nissan Rogue is 185 inches long. Okay, so according to Google, this guy here is 185 inches long. So if I look at it from here, it kind of makes the Range Rover disappear, because the Range Rover is only 172 inches long. So 172 inches long. You know, you don't really see it when you look at it from over here, but when it comes down to the tail area, the Nissan is a little bit longer. Now, what's a little weird is that the Range Rover is wider. The Range Rover is 75 inches wider. So I should say 75 inches wide. So it has a little bit of a squat stance. It almost looks like a race car, I think. And the Nissan is 72 inches wide. So it's got a more traditional SUV kind of stand, and the Nissan's a little taller. It says that it's 68 inches tall, and this guy, the Range Rover, is see here, 65 inches tall. So this one is 68 inches tall, and this one is 65 inches tall. So with the outside dimensions, they're pretty close, but the big difference is that you have a bigger cargo area. That's where you've got the big difference. Okay. Now, we're going to talk about the cargo in a little bit, but I want to just talk to you about one thing as far as the Range Rover that I really liked, which is the door handles. which I first saw these door handles on a Velar that I rented a while back. So when you close the car, they pop in and the mirrors also fold in. And when you unlock, the mirrors unfold and the door handles. Yeah. So it's just a nice little touch. And when you have the doors locked, it just kind of gives it a sleek look, nice flush look. All right, we're going to talk about the inside of these cars now. So we're going to talk about the difference in the cargo area. There is a pretty substantial difference. And besides cargo, let me just mention that according to Google, the Rogue has a towing capacity of 1,000 pounds, and our Range Rover has a towing capacity of 4,000 pounds. Well, let's just get into the trunk here. Okay, so there's a few differences, and the first difference is that the trunk is power activated, so you can just pop your little button and it pops open. The Range Rover has it as an option, but you have to get a big old package to get that, so I have to use the old-fashioned method. I have to actually use my hand, and I guess it would help if I unlock it first. Right, so I have to actually lift it by hand. All right, so let's take a look here. So this is where a lot of people really like the Rogue. This is the reason why a lot of families like it. It's got a big old cargo area. And let me just see here. The cargo area in the Rogue is 39 cubic feet with the seats up. According to Google, 39 cubic feet. You can see that's a pretty good amount of space there. And with the seats folded down, it's 70 cubic feet. So how does it compare with our Rogue? Well, the Rogue is a little less. With the seats up, it's about half the cargo capacity. It's 21 cubic feet back here, 21. So it is less. And with the seats down, it's 50 cubic feet. So with the seats down, it's not quite as big of a difference as 50 cubic feet versus 70. But with the seats up, you've got 40 cubic feet versus 20 over there. And when we fold on the seats, you can really see a big difference. So you can see, got from here all the way up there. And if you push the seat forward, you can actually travel like 2x4s in this vehicle. And this guy, again, not quite as much space. So that's one thing you've got to factor in, especially if you've got like a family. You have to make like a real life decision. Having less space may affect you. So that's the cargo space, okay? So we're gonna pause here. Continue here comparing the rear seat room on the Rogue. I don't actually have the exact dimensions, but it's a good amount of space. I'm about 5'9", and it's a good amount of space, especially if you move the seats forward. You have plenty of leg room and plenty of headroom. And the Range Rover is not bad. If you get in here, it's actually not bad. It looks smaller, but it's not. So once you're in here, this front seat is actually like all the way back, and I still have plenty of space and plenty of headroom. So this is something that's surprising. You would think that you've got less space back here, but you don't. You've got plenty of space. Okay, and then let's go to the front. I'll show you the driver's area. So now keep in mind, this car is a 2017. I try to keep it pretty clean. But you can see that the plastic, you may not be able to see it over here, but the plastic is fading a little bit. Right, and maybe that's my fault for getting a light color. I actually don't like dark interiors, but faded a little bit, but I think it looks pretty good. And you've got everything you need here. This SV has a lot of options. One of the most amazing options that you've got on this car, which we'll wait for it to start up, is that it's got the eagle view, the eagle eye, the bird's eye cameras. So let's see, here's the little camera, and you can see everything that's around you. And you can see right there that got the vehicle next to us, see behind us. So for this price range, this is like the only vehicle that's got the bird's eye cameras. So that can be real nice, especially when you're parking. One of the things I'm not so excited about, it's got navigation, but it's an older navigation system, so you may not like that a whole lot, but it works. You know, I don't want to be picky. It's a decent navigation system. It's just older. This car came with the XM radio, and the radio is a decent radio. It's got a good amount of sound, and the instrument cluster is pretty nice. Steering wheel is pretty nice. It's got the cruise control. Although one thing I didn't like about this car is that the cruise control button is right next to the phone button. So a lot of times I'd hit that phone button by mistake, and then you have to go through a whole process to disconnect your phone. So I didn't like that too much, but you know, I'm being picky. The cruise control is, you know, a good system. And then of course on your display, you use this guy here and you can change the things around on your display. Very, very easy to work with. And this car has heated seats included in the price range, heated steering wheel. It's got some more options, but I probably can't remember all of them. I did not get the sunroof. I don't really like sunroofs. But for a package and at the price point, the SV is definitely a nice car. So we're going to just kind of compare that to the Range Rover. And of course, one of the first things that you'll notice is that it's got the leather seats and a very, 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 very different dash system. Now, over here is where you control your AC system, but you can see it's kind of blacked out. If you get a couple of levels up, you can get that to be a video system, but this is the more basic version. And up here, you do have a video monitor, and on the dash, you only have a partial video system. So it's got the traditional gauges, and it's got a video system kind of mixed in, but it's not a real video system. See that? It's not a real video system. But if you go a couple of levels up, the whole system is video, and that's, of course, the main video, and then this guy here is a video. So a couple of things is that, of course, you know, it's a nice system. You know, it looks, you know, there's a difference why Range Rovers are, there's a reason why Range Rovers are more money than Nissan. I happen to get a good deal, but, you know, it is a little nicer. And this does not have the cameras that I had in the Nissan, but it is available. And if you do get the camera system, it's a crazy camera system if you get that. But one thing that this does have that very few of the cars have, it's got a video rear view mirror. So you can switch it to a regular mirror, and then you can switch it to a video rear view mirror. So that's pretty crazy. And so when you're driving down the road, you got a really wide view of the back. And if you're going in reverse, you have your traditional video camera. This is my wife in her wheelchair. And you got two videos if you're going backwards. So overall, I mean, look, guys, I got to be honest. There's a difference. It's a nicer interior for sure. And I'm not even getting into all the details at the moment. I may add some details later. But you've got a nice clean steering wheel. This car's got the cruise. It's got the distance thing so that it kind of notifies you if you're too close to the car. It's got the heated steering wheel right here. And it's got this really nice main system. You've got your nav. You've got your media control. And so when you've got your stereo on, you can choose between Sirius XM and the radio. You can connect your phone to it. And again, I'm not even getting into everything at the moment, but this controller is just a gigantic difference from the Nissan. So there's a big difference. It's much more modern and very easy to like. This little guy here, this is like this little second system. One of the things that's cool is that some people may not like it. I kind of like it. Is that the buttons? This is your temperature control for your AC, of course. But let's say you want your heated seats. This car has heated seats, but it doesn't have the cooled seats. Press the button here, turn the dial, and that's how you control the heated seats, right? Then you go back to your temperature. And if you want to control your fan, you push this little guy here, and then this guy becomes the fan control. So it's kind of like their little way of saving buttons, saving space, making it look sleek. One of the things I like too, it's got this little cubby hole over here. You can put stuff in there. It's got a nice little armrest with plenty of space in there. So overall, so one thing I wanted to mention is just the wheels. This car has 235 60 18, and of course this car is four-wheel drive, the Range Rover. And the Nissan, where's my tire size? They are 225 65 17. So the wheels are a little bit smaller on the Nissan, and this Nissan is a two-wheel drive. And I may have mentioned this already. The Rogue has got a 4,000 pound towing capacity, and the Nissan only has a 1,000 pound towing capacity. One thing that the Rogue has is it's got these guys, right? And it's got the little roof racks there. And of course, it doesn't have the little cross beams, but you can get the cross beams from Nissan. So if you want an SUV, having roof racks can be very, very practical. And for whatever reason, I don't really understand why, the Range Rover, this Range Rover, the Evoque, does not have roof racks. I'm not sure if it's an option. But anyway, as you can see, my car does not have roof racks. And just to point out, this here little pin, that's where you have the rear view camera. So the camera that the view that you get inside your mirror is out of this camera here, which is hard to see. And then as far as when you're in reverse, it's got a second camera over here for your reverse back here. So those are a couple of differences. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. We'll talk to you soon. So overall, there's a bit of a trade-off because to get the options that I had in the Nissan, you've got to get a more expensive package. But, if on the one hand you want more towing capacity, you've got 4,000 pounds of towing versus one. And of course, with the Range Rover, hey, what can I tell you? It's a Range Rover, so it's really nice. And the Nissan is a little more basic. But I think if I had little kids, if my kids were still small, I'd probably go for the Nissan because it's more practical. But for the time being, I got a good deal on my Range Rover for the next 30 months, so I'm going to try to enjoy it. Thanks a lot for joining me, guys, and I'll see you soon.